Picture this. You're shopping at a 99-cent store in New York City. It's just a normal errand during the course of your normal day, nothing out of the ordinary. As you browse, an elderly person sitting in a motorized scooter rolls by you. You barely even notice them at first. When they stop to strike up a conversation, you're stricken by how frail and weathered looking they are. But you indulge them for a minute or two. They're probably just lonely. Something, judging by the worn face and the messy wig, things probably aren't going too well for them. After some brief, casual chit-chat, you part ways to finish your shopping. But there's something about the encounter that sticks with you. You can't quite put your finger on it, but something seems off. By the time you get home that evening, though, you've pretty much forgotten all about the exchange until you turn on the news a few days later.
Police released video today of a man who they say is Harvey Marcelin riding a motorized scooter and carrying a body part into a store. Police now saying the suspect is a serial killer, and investigators are looking to determine if there are even more of his victims out there.
Hi, this is True Crime Recaps. I'm Amy, and the person sitting on a severed leg in that clip was Harvey Marcelin, an 83-year-old transgender serial killer. And horrific as the scene in the 99-cent store was, that's not even where this barbaric story begins. Harvey went off the deep end in 1963. That's when she shot her girlfriend 3 times after finding out she was planning to leave. Although diagnosed as having a personality disorder with sociopathic features, Harvey was found to be mentally fit to stand trial. Now, according to some reports, the jurors couldn't come to a decision on whether the murder justified a death sentence, so the judge gave Harvey life in prison. In 1984, after just 20 years, Harvey was released with the condition of lifetime parole. Less than a year later, she stabbed another girlfriend to death, cut up her body, and hid the remains in plastic bags, which were then dumped all around Central Park. For that second murder, Harvey pled guilty to manslaughter and was given 6 to 12 years. When she came up for release, however, the state parole board repeatedly denied the request. Harvey's self-described problems with women didn't really paint a picture of a rehabilitated person, and neither did the repeated attempts to blame the victims. In late 2019, though, after more than 50 years behind bars, Harvey was granted parole and allowed to rejoin society at the age of 80. Given what came next, you really have to wonder why anyone ever thought it was a good idea to let her walk. On March 3rd, 2022, a man noticed a black bag sitting in a shopping cart. He didn't think much of it at first, but his curiosity was piqued enough so he decided to look inside. That's how he found the dismembered torso of 68-year-old Susan Leyden. 4 days later, another gruesome discovery. One of Susan's legs was hidden in a tire a couple of blocks away. It was severed at the knee and still wearing a sock. The police were immediately on the lookout for whoever could have done such a heinous thing to another person, but frankly, it didn't take very long to find her killer. On February 27th, 2022, Susan was recorded walking into Harvey's building, pushing a shopping cart. She was never seen leaving the area alive. The cart, however, made another appearance a few days later, and the person using it was none other than Harvey Marcelin. Apparently, she had known Susan for a couple of years, although it's not super clear yet what the nature of their relationship was or why it all led to such a brutal murder. In life, Susan was a single mother who ran a successful jewelry business for years. But according to the New York Daily News, she was struggling with mental health issues for much of the last decade and was estranged from her daughter and other family members when she was killed. 2 days after her disappearance, Harvey and an unidentified woman were spotted at Home Depot buying trash bags, a saw, and cleaning supplies. According to the police, that woman cooperated with the investigation and isn't facing any charges. But security footage shows Harvey walking with the same shopping cart Susan was last seen with and subsequently abandoning it in the area where her torso was discovered. Armed with more than enough for a search warrant, the investigators paid Harvey a visit at home and found a grisly scene waiting for them. In addition to blood spatter, trash bags, and saw blades, they found even more remains, including Susan's severed head in a plastic bag. Harvey was immediately taken into custody and is currently being held on charges of murder, tampering with evidence, and the concealment of a human body. In the wake of the awful news, area residents and acquaintances have expressed complete and total shock. It's not often that you hear about an 83-year-old serial killer, much less one riding around in a motorized scooter. NBC says Susan's cause of death was blunt force trauma, so how was such a frail-looking person capable of not only beating her to death, but operating the power tools necessary to dispose of the body? Does it point to a person that merely wanted to appear as if they were helpless and fragile? Or does it highlight the sheer power of human will that in the moment, in such a state of bloodlust, they managed to temporarily overcome the limitations of their body? I'm not sure which disturbs me more. As strong as the case for insanity may be, after all, we're talking about a person that rolled up to a dollar store sitting on a severed leg like it was no big deal. I mean, one thing is beyond debate. Harvey Marcelin should never have been released in the first place. The case is still ongoing, and more details will probably emerge as the trial gets underway. Until then, we'll be following it closely. To keep up with this case and others, remember to hit subscribe and the bell to get all the crime in half the time every week. Thanks for being here. Until next time, take care.